You can't promise the list and go, guys, what are you worried about this list we promised you guys?
I know. It's also so funny how clearly they got the list and went, guys, who even cares? Like, they obviously the whole time leading up to it were like, that we're going to get that fucking list. And then one day they were like, what are we even talking about?
Also, you get the list and you go, me 7 times?
Me again? Son of a bitch. Everything bad that's ever happened to me, I've gone, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
With actual conviction.
Yeah.
Dude, when I got canceled from SNL, agent called me and was like, did you say that? And I was like,
no.
I would never say that. They sent me the video. I said, guys, there's floods in Texas. What are you guys even talking about?
All right, so in that short clip right there, Shane and Matt explained what's going on with the Epstein files better than Tim Dillon or Alex Jones did during this whole hour-long emergency podcast they just did dedicated to explaining what's going on with the Epstein files. I mean, Tim still just keeps coming up with all these other excuses, but at least Alex said Trump's name is in the files, but of course the deep state put it there. And he kept saying he's done research and Trump is associated with Epstein, but he didn't do anything that inappropriate with him. But there were a couple of moments where Alex was like, but maybe he did do something. So Alex was trying his best with the mental gymnastics to try to blame anyone but Trump. But I don't know how much longer he can keep this up. He seemed really stressed out and he kept smoking cigarettes the whole time. And it sounds like he might be starting to feel he's complicit in the cover-up. Also, at one point, he hinted that the White House was trying to bribe him to either stop talking about Epstein or to push Trump's narrative about it. Just like they're doing with Tim, it seems like they're trying to bribe him with food, which seems to be somewhat working for now at least. I mean, he's obviously talking about how bad this looks for Trump and everything, but he never really blames him directly. And he keeps talking about money laundering still and how Trump is just scared for his life and how the deep state is trying to cover it up and all that stuff. He also admitted that he did talk to JD Vance. That's who he had dinner with last week. And JD must have really pushed this money laundering narrative on him because before that dinner, I don't think Tim really talked about this aspect much or at all. But then the last podcast he did after the dinner, he spent like 10 minutes ranting about how Trump should come out and say he used Epstein for money laundering and that's why he's scared to release the files. Then during this episode, in the beginning, Tim brought it up again. When Alex was talking about how Trump is imploding over this, Tim randomly starts talking about money laundering. And then Alex is like, yeah, the larger issue was the money laundering.
Having to report this, that this is beyond insane.
Yeah.
And it's like Trump blowing his feet off with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Well, we know that this was not only a blackmail operation, but it was also a money laundering operation. And we know that Jeffrey Epstein was working for billionaires like Les Wexner and many others and moving money around the world, making sums of money disappear.
So I agree with you. Very astute. I was going to make that point. This isn't even so much about human trafficking as it is about the money laundering. And it was more than just trafficking underage girls. That was kind of like a side hors d'oeuvre or little rider. The larger issue was money laundering.
So it's just weird that Tim keeps bringing this up all of a sudden. And obviously they do still talk about the blackmail and how bad this looks for Trump's administration and how it looks like they're trying to cover up the files. But then they spend the whole time just kind of beating around the bush and trying to blame it on the deep state, Israel, Trump's administration, Trump being scared for his life, and Trump's donors pressuring him, which I agree Epstein, I'm sure, did work for Israeli intelligence. But if Trump is very pro-Israel and his administration is full of Zionists and he partied with and was good friends with the guy who ran a blackmail operation for Israel, what does that say? I mean, it seems like the obvious guess would be maybe Israel has blackmail on Trump. But Tim never brings this up as a possibility. Instead, he thinks Trump is scared for his life and his donors want him to cover up the files. And now also Alex claims they have dirt on a member of Trump's administration, the guy who is neighbors with Epstein. So that is a possibility. But why would Trump pick him if that's the case, if the guy was neighbors with Epstein? And Alex said he got this information from somebody at the FBI. Apparently they called him and told him Israel's blackmailing Howard Lutnick. But also Alex says it's not like Lutnick did anything wrong though. So I think Alex is trying to use him as a scapegoat, but also doesn't want to completely throw him under the bus here.
And I don't believe from my sources, and this is high-level FBI, that it is Trump, but it's people in his administration, including a top financial advisor that's heavily involved.
A top financial advisor. Are we talking about Epstein's neighbor?
We are. No, let's just say you brought it out. You're smart to figure it out. Nobody else was. I'm sure it's true.
Yeah.
They're blackmailing him with Ludnick. I've confirmed that from the FBI. And it's not that Ludnick did anything wrong, but this is the leverage that Israel is using over Trump right now to do all this. And my information is it's not Trump himself. He's just all this other stuff to try to embarrass him, beauty pageants, flying twice on his plane from New York to Palm Beach. And again, Trump was all release it till he got that meeting with Netanyahu with everybody.
Well, a lot of the fundraising came from very big donors, people like Miri Madelson and stuff like that have a lot of political connections in Israel, obviously. And I think there's probably pressure from that avenue as well, of people that spent a lot of money to help Trump get elected that are probably telling him, let's make this go away. Let's not have this be an embarrassment or worse.
They walk into the trap and now, by the way, that stuff we raided from the Democrats, it's all about you. And it doesn't mean it's real. I already predicted it's recycled. It's recycled BS about Trump. And that's why I think that's why we're seeing the fit.
Do you think there's any part of him that says they'll kill me because they tried to, they maybe tried to in Pennsylvania, where...
And even though Alex was doing mental gymnastics, trying to blame anyone but Trump, it seems like he might jump off the Trump train soon. But he's in a tough spot because also he says Trump is like his lifeboat. But I don't know how much longer he can keep this up. There were times where he kind of had the same take as Shane and Matt, but he thinks Trump looked at the files and realized the deep state put his name in there, which is the narrative Trump has been pushing. But then also he would occasionally be like, maybe Trump did do some stuff with Epstein that he shouldn't have.
They're going to drop a dime. We've really got the real file. So Trump's like, yeah, go get it, grab it, get them. They get the file. Then the FBI, we confirm this, looks at it. It's got all this stuff about Trump in it, whether it's true or not. Bondi and them come back and say to Trump, it's got all this about you. Then you see the deer in the headlights interview 2 months ago with Bongino and Kash Patel on Fox. Trump has learned, or this is a big possibility, they've spiked it with poison pills. They're not just going to take out bad stuff about them. They're going to add all the innuendo, all the Jane Does, all the stuff recycled in. Then Trump comes out through social last Saturday, 8-9 days ago, Saturday before last, and says, hey, they control the file. Not saying Epstein doesn't exist or wasn't bad. That's how the media spun it. He says they put a bunch of bull in there, which I was even able to predict. So that's one track of what it is and why he acted so scared and hysterical. The other track is he was a big playboy. He was hanging out with Epstein. He was running beauty pageants. Maybe he did some stuff he wasn't supposed to.
Sure.
And he had some and now they're bringing it out. So now the jury's out on Trump.
And one of the most telling signs here is just how desperate the administration seems to be, meeting with Tim and then calling all these other influencers to try to do damage control. It sounds like a disaster. And halfway through this podcast, Alex is like, man, Trump is making this really hard for me. It sounds like Alex is torn between just trying to tell the truth and helping Trump do damage control. So it's a tough spot, and you could tell he's starting to feel the pressure. Like, he even admitted that the White House called him and said, what do you want? Like, insinuating, is there anything we can do to get you to stop talking about this or help us push a narrative? Which is probably what they did with Tim Dillon, and he asked for a seafood dinner with J.D. Vance. So I guess we'll see how long the White House wants to pay for Tim's dinners. They aren't cheap. Tim loves to eat, so hopefully they added his dinner budget to the big, beautiful bill. If not, they might lose him. So also it seems like Alex is worried about being an accomplice in the cover-up too. He asked him about that as well.
Almost perfectly on track for and then it just started going sideways, and now it's moving very quickly the wrong direction, and I have no interest in them failing. My God, the Democrats are literally trying to put me in prison and suing me and all this other. I mean, it's like my lifeboat I'm in is Trump, and then he's poking holes in the bottom of the boat. And I can tell you a lot more. I mean, I've had the White House call up and be like, last week, what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm like, you think I'm doing all this just to get something? I've never asked for anything. I want you to do what you were elected to do.
Yeah.
So it went from, you're bad, we're going to have our influencers attack you 2 weeks ago, to what do you want?
Yeah. Well, they want it to go away. They want this to go away.
How are you processing this? Because I'm not a lesser two evils guy, but overall, Trump administration is a lot better, I think, than Democrats. But at the same time, there's an integrity issue because I become an accomplice by extension,
Agreed.
Tim Dillon, if I join in on the cover-up.
Agreed. I process it the same way you process it. I think securing the border, having having the American working class regain ground.
So this shit just keeps getting crazier every day, and I'll give credit to Tim and Alex. At least they still talk about Epstein, because obviously the administration would love for them just to stop talking about it completely, but also that would be way too suspicious. But I guess we'll see where things go from here. So make sure you subscribe, and if you want to make sure you stay up to date with everything, check out the Patreon. I post a ton of extra content on there, and I recently just talked about Sam Hyde's crash out on Harlan Williams. That was wild. And I've also talked about how Epstein associates try to use Rogan's podcast to vindicate themselves, and how the tech elites use it to promote their agenda, like Mark Zuckerberg tried earlier this year, and it was a complete disaster. It was so funny. So make sure you check it out. There'll be a link in the description.
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding dongs. But I'll tell you, if they were going to blackmail me to start World War III about one, I'd say, hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose.
And I saw a girl holding a baby, and I was like, wow, I've gotten old. She is way too young to have a baby. Mm-hmm. And then she started breastfeeding. I was like, nah, she's not too old. And I watched her breastfeed.
Oh, my God. I'm glad you only saved that for me. Nobody else will find out.
Sunglasses on. I was like, she's not too old. She's got to be at least 20, right? 25, 26.
How was that session? Was it cool?
It was weird. It was weird because everyone watched her breastfeed. Like when you breastfeed like that, everyone watches.
All right, so Bert Kreischer continues to get more depraved each podcast, and it's getting bad. I mean, if you remember last time I talked about Bert, he was contemplating becoming an OnlyFans pimp after being inspired by Jack Doherty. You know, this 50-year-old man with a wife and 2 daughters got inspired by Jack Doherty to try to start pimping out girls on OnlyFans. That's really what Bert is up to now. And Tom, he's totally down with it. You know, he's just thinking about the money. And it sounds like Bert's going to do all the work for him. Like, he's really excited about this. But Tom might need to tell him to chill a little bit because he gets a little too excited. He gets really worked up on this podcast. I mean, he started this episode watching VR porn, and then he mentions how he wants a sex robot that looks like a comedian he knows. And then he admits he watched a girl breastfeed the other day. And I bet he'd defend this by saying he's scouting for talent or he's brainstorming or something. Like, that's how far gone he is. Like, he also claims he watches adult content to come up with comedy material.
All right, I'm going to put her to sleep.
Okay.
Dude, I'm ready for a fucking robot chick.
Yeah, they're available, man. You can afford it. You should do it.
Dude, you can design them. They're $3,000. Should we make one? Should we make one and fucking bring it? Let's make
it
2.
feels like... Oh, okay.
Would it be creepy if we made them and we made them look like people we know?
Yeah, that'd be super creepy.
And you're like, Sarah Tiana, come over to my house. I want you to meet my robot chick. And she's like, wow. And go, look, it's got a southern accent and everything. She's like,
that's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But wait, why is she pregnant? And I was like, I don't know. I liked her better when she was pregnant.
This is a really good idea for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is.
Shout out to Sarah T.
That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Thrilled.
Yeah. And I saw a girl holding a baby, and I watched her breastfeed.
Oh my God.
It ruined me, but half the time I look at porn, I'm looking for a joke. I'm looking for a joke about.
Oh, right.
Like I'm not looking for the real thing. And then if I see something that I don't recognize,
your dick happens to get hard, and you're like, I guess I should tug on it.
If I see something I don't recognize, where I'm like, wait, what's that?
What's that? Yeah, that's fun.
That's
fun.
I'm always like, yeah.
Yeah, so could you imagine Bert's poor wife? I mean, this dude is out of control. You know, he just admitted he wants a pregnant sex robot that looks like a comedian friend, and now he's trying to become a pimp. And his wife already had to call him out a couple of years ago because he kept subscribing to girls' OnlyFans, and he would pretend like he just was doing it to be supportive. And he acted like he was surprised that his wife found it creepy, and he was shocked that she was upset about it. So now that he's trying to pimp out OnlyFans girls, I can't imagine she's handling it well.
So are you an OnlyFans guy?
No, I was, and then I found out it was creepy to be an OnlyFans guy.
Why?
Well, because I was doing it like I would sign up for people's OnlyFans. If I met them and like I have an OnlyFans, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll sign up for it. And then like get in the car. I got get in the car. It was the first one I did.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I met her. She's cool. Valerie's her name. And she's a cool person. And I was like, yeah, I'll sign up for OnlyFans. And then I got in the car with Leanne, and she was like, she met her at the Greek. And I said,
She goes, so what does she do? And I said, she got an OnlyFans. She make good money on her OnlyFans. And Leanne's like, what's that? I was like, here, I'll show you. Leanne's like, oh my God, you look at her naked? And I was like, that's what her OnlyFans is. And she was like, oh, you're buying her porn? And I went, no, it's OnlyFans. And she's like, Bert, you're buying, but she knows, does she know that you're looking at her naked? And I go, I think she does. She goes, and then you just hung out with her, but you look at her naked? And I go, I don't. She goes, you just talk to her husband. And I was like, well, is this wrong? And then I feel like weird that I'm on their OnlyFans.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like the point I was making, is that I feel weird after I know somebody.
So then you just got to like stranger creep on people?
Yeah.
I'd rather do it with people I know.
Yeah, I think we're different there.
Yeah, so I wonder what his wife and Tom's wife think of their new business endeavor of finding girls to pimp out. I mean, I think Bert's wife is already pissed because he tried to talk one of his employees into it. He said everyone freaked out about that, but he didn't let that stop him. And now him and Tom are really doing this. They started going through submissions on their podcast, and first they found someone who Bert tried to compliment by saying she doesn't look like someone they just picked up at a gas station.
I have an existing OnlyFans that didn't make it due to lack of following. Wanted to keep my identity hidden at the time. I would love the opportunity to work with you guys. I would be open to revamping my current OF or starting fresh. I do have some experience with modeling in my early 20s. I love your idea of doing something different rather than just filling all my holes. Laughing my ass off.
She's got fantasy quality, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She looks like nubile, right? Is that the right word? Like,
I don't know.
Like, she doesn't look like we found her at a gas station.
No.
Yeah, she looks like she
cute,
reads.
she's thin,
She probably likes
she's like,
Lord of the Rings. Like, I think a lot of our fans are going to be like, oh, yeah, I could get into a chick like this.
Yeah, she seems really pretty. Seems cool.
It's a
great option.
So I guess that's a good start, but they were really excited about the next prospect who sent in a picture of her violating a Porosos bottle. So of course when Bert sees that, he just loses it. You know, this is like his dream girl. And then they figure out there's a video of her doing it, and Bert's like, we got to find that. So I'd imagine Bert's wife is thrilled that he found such a talented prospect he can manage. I mean, I feel like at some point she's got to step in and be like, listen, this is just too far. But also it's possible maybe she's just checked out and doesn't even care to try to restrain him anymore. So he might just be completely off the rails now.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Let's see, who else?
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Wow, way to bring it. Way to fucking bring it.
Some of them just get it, dude.
God, some of them just fucking get it. Yes.
So if you're listening right now or watching, because we're probably not showing you this, this is a woman who is posing. You're seeing her from behind. One leg is up, and then she has a full bottle of Porosos in her no-no hole.
Okay.
Oh, she's all tatted like you like.
Yeah.
I'm Delilah. I'm a small town Wisconsin MILF who's been spreading my wet flap on the internet for 5 years now. I'm most known for taking large, in all capital letters, fantasy dildos, and of course my Porosos video. Oh, there's a video?
Hey guys.
She made a video?
Is there a video?
Maybe she posted one somewhere. Yeah. That would be, a thing, I guess. So, but I think this woman actually, I mean, she has a website like this. She's the real deal.
She is the real deal. I'd love to see this video, but she is the real deal.
I'm sure the video, maybe on Twitter, X. Oh, Fansley, Porosos bottle and pee. It's one of her go-to videos.
Ooh, let's click that.
This is where I get the freakiest from.
So they thought that was a good prospect, but she already has a pretty big following. And Bert thinks she might be too much of a seasoned veteran for them. You know, he'd rather have new talent. Like if you remember originally, he wanted to find somebody that's not even involved in the industry yet. You know, he wanted to talk somebody into OnlyFans, but Tom thought that was a little extreme.
No OnlyFans presence at all.
Very little.
I'd say none.
Well, none. Well, that means like, do they have a channel? You got to have someone that's.
I think it's better if we take a virgin flower.
Someone who's like, I've not even thought of doing this, and we're like, you should be a whore.
Doing this and go.
Okay.
I mean, we'd be bringing a fucking pro onto the team when I think it's easier to break like a new talent.
Right, someone you can manipulate more.
Not manipulate, but just help grow.
You know,
just help grow.
Yeah, help grow. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, this is someone that we would be like, she does guy and girl content. You'd be like, yo, we're going to do a fan contest and the fan gets to have sex with her.
Yeah, so Bert's got a lot of ideas and he's trying to get the fans involved. You know, he's trying to get them enthusiastic about it. But I don't know how well that's going. You know, I think a lot of them just kind of find this sad and disturbing. And also they're taking submissions from guys as well. Like there's a guy that sent in some pictures that Bert was pretty excited about.
Tom, why don't you answer me? Please pimp me. I'm sending my cock again. Please.
God, he's got a great cock.
It's pretty crazy. All right.
So when it's that big, you can't even get fully hard.
And it's just angled down. It's got a kind of interesting angle. So we haven't heard from a guy yet.
I know, that guy's got a hog.
Yeah.
We could definitely use him.
Well, yeah, you need both, right?
Yeah.
All right. I think we're good here.
I say we put very succinct, like a one best photo up. We do a carousel on Two Bears YMH.
Okay.
We'll both share it, and we'll let our fans vote on who our OnlyFans model is going to be.
Okay.
And
so you have to make it to the carousel to be considered, though.
Yeah, you got to make it to the carousel.
So Bert and Tom are really getting into the pimp game. I'm sure this will go well. You know, Bert's already completely unhinged and doesn't give a shit how embarrassing he is. So he's probably going to go crazy with this. Like, he doesn't censor himself at all anymore. So this is going to be wild. But let me know what you think about it. And if you're interested, I just posted a big video on Patreon about Theo Von. He has been going through it recently. Like, he bombed at the taping for his Netflix special, and he's been coping over that. And then he went on College Game Day and tried to hit on this reporter, and she completely shut him down. It was really hard to watch. And then also recently I've been talking about how Duncan Trussell's been losing it. Ever since he got called out by Elephant Graveyard, he's just been imploding. And there are over 150 other exclusive videos on the Patreon, so make sure you check it out. It's definitely worth it. There'll be a link in the description. All right, so Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen just did their 1,000th episode of The Fighter and the Kid, and they had on some of their favorite guests throughout the years to celebrate, but you tell there's some comedians missing that I'm sure Brendan wanted to have on, like Theo. I mean, that dude left and never looked back. He couldn't even do a 10-minute Zoom call for them. And then also Bobby Lee, but we all know the situation there, which they actually talked about towards the end of the podcast because they're kind of going over all the shit that happened within the past 5 years and how some comedians stopped associating with them, mostly because of Brian getting canceled. Like, they talked a lot about that, and it was after they had on their guests, so they're probably like, yeah, this is why some people don't want to talk to us anymore. And Brendan sounds kind of pissed about some of the people that turned their back on them.
I didn't realize that it would kind of, how many friends we'd lose in the comedy community, like how many friends we would lose. And for a long time, I was very upset at that. And now, we've gotten through it. Now I'm glad that happened because now we know what we're dealing with. We know who we can bank on, who we can't, all good. And I never expected that. Straight up, never expected that. And it just people show their true colors.
I also want to say
show their
something
true
about
colors
that too.
Oh, well, Brendan not only defends them, but brings them on the show, does a show with them. Like, so it ostracized me from certain comedy clubs. And, I'm like, wait, what? Wait, you're not sending me availables now? I didn't do anything. But you did. You're on that team. We're on this team. I went, okay.
Yeah.
And all that I'd go, okay.
That was less so. Like, there are.
And I wish they had just named some of the comedians that they feel like have turned on them. Like, at this point, why not? And I mean, last year, Ari Shaffir, he criticized Brian for doing something similar. He didn't say his name, but it's clear who he was talking about. And he said that Brian didn't stand by Chris D'Elia enough when he got canceled. So some comedians take that stuff seriously, but it's funny Brian was criticized for that because, I mean, he's one of the handful of people that will still work with Chris, which obviously it's because he's in a similar situation, but I don't know if it really helps him too much because then him and Chris just get lumped together. Like on this podcast, when it gets brought up, Brian makes sure to remind people and make the distinction that him and Chris got canceled for different things. Like they shouldn't be lumped together.
Can understand why some of them didn't speak up for Brian and Chris. I get it. I get it because you're scared.
But Brian and Chris are two different things too.
No, I'm saying that whole cancel thing. It's one thing.
We're all all of us are in our different boats.
But still, you guys were voted off the island. So my thing is, I can understand that some people wouldn't do it because they're scared of it, and then some I don't understand because of course I realize I'd get some blowback, but it's like I don't respect it.
And it doesn't sound like Brendan's really over the comedians that stopped supporting them. It sounds like there's definitely still some resentment there. Like towards the end of the podcast, Brendan just started going off about how Brian deserves to be in a better position in comedy and comedians need to treat him with more respect because he's still better than 99% of them. Like he was really getting fired up here, which I'll get to in a second. But first, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Raycon. If you're in the market for earbuds, you're in luck because right now is the best time to get a pair of Raycons, since they just launched their new upgraded model of their everyday earbuds that offer new features like multi-point connectivity that lets you pair to 2 devices at once and active noise cancellation. They're also weatherproof and sweat resistant, and they're extremely comfortable. You know, I'm always listening to podcasts and music, and I'll wear these playing basketball or working out, and they fit great and work perfectly. And Raycon sold over 3 million pairs of their previous everyday earbuds, so people really like them. And they also offer a 30-day happiness guarantee, so they're definitely worth checking out. You know, when it comes to earbuds, it's hard to beat the value you get from Raycon. Also, right now, you can get 15% off your purchase plus free shipping if you click the link in the description box below or go to buyraycon.com/2lazy. Again, that's 15% off your Raycon purchase plus free shipping if you use the link below or go to buyraycon.com/2lazy. Yeah, so like I was saying, then Brendan goes on this really emotional rant about how Brian deserves better in comedy. I think that's basically what he's trying to say here. And it's funny what leads to this. Like, I believe they're answering fan questions, and somebody asked, when have you been the most proud of each other, or something like that. And this is Brendan's response. Like, he just starts going off, and eventually he does loop it around to the question. But it sounds like this is something he's been holding in for a while.
It drives me, but if we're being honest, leave this, Jim. Don't edit this out. I'm speaking from my fucking heart. I know you're not going to like this. I'm going to look right. It drives me fucking nuts that Brian's at where he's at. I will challenge anyone, any comic, to go on stage after Callan. I challenge any of those comics. I don't give a fuck if it's the Comedy Store, Zanies, wherever they're at. And you're telling me Brian's not better than 99% of those fucking comics. It drives me nuts that he's not up there with those guys. He's better than fucking 99% of them. And you want to outcast him over some bullshit? That's what upsets me. So what makes me proud and not mad, I'm trying to get mad, what makes me proud is he's not going to lash out about it. Brian's cool. Brian goes to work. Brian's doing the road. Brian's trying to sell tickets.
And I don't think Brian's even really that upset about his position in comedy. I mean, it seems to be going all right. Like, at least he has a decent career in it. But his acting career, on the other hand, that was pretty much over with right when he got canceled. Like, I don't know if he's done anything since then. I mean, the only thing I can remember seeing him in recently was that Steven Crowder sketch where he's dressed up as a cow and getting whipped by another man for Steven Crowder's pleasure, basically. Like, that's what his acting career has become now. So he definitely paid the price after getting canceled. Like, also just him having to work with Steven Crowder, I'd say that's enough of a punishment right there. And it seems like Brian just kind of accepted it. Like, I don't know if he still works with Crowder, but it seems like he's kind of just accepted that if he wants to continue his acting career, he needs to just take what he can get and try to pay his dues. I mean, I saw recently, to show off his acting chops and try to get back in the business, he's resorted to performing in Chris D'Elia's living room. But obviously, I'm sure anything for him is a step up from Crowder's studio. And he got to showcase his skills much more with this, especially compared to his role as Steven Crowder's cow. You know, that is pretty one-dimensional, but here he got to go all out. Like, at one point, he pretended to get poisoned.
Okay. All right. Cut. All right.
That's important.
All right.
That's important.
That is not good.
That's important.
Yeah, so that's what they're up to. You know, they're still out there trying to make it happen. But back to the Fighter and the Kid podcast. At one point, they're asked about Bobby Lee and that whole situation and if they've hashed things out at all. And Brian, he said that him and Bobby are pretty much good now. Like, I don't know if they're friends. I don't know if they ever will be. But it sounds like Bobby accepted Brian's apology. And Brendan, he said he would want to have Bobby back on the podcast, but he doesn't think it'll ever happen. And also now he claims Bobby and him were never really friends. Like, they never talked that much.
Me and Bobby didn't talk like weekly or even monthly. If I saw him at the store, we're always cool, which is the truth. I don't talk to Bobby. I didn't talk to him before any of this. So there's no falling out. We were never that close. Yeah.
There's no drama. Like Bobby Lee is one of my closest friends. Me and Bobby talk all. No one's been more supportive when I started than Bobby Lee, dude.
Really?
Hopefully Brian and Bobby are friends.
I hope so.
Me and Bobby never really had a relationship. Like, I'm good, Bobby's good, he's crushing it. You know, hopefully you guys are friends, but I'm good.
Yeah, but what made me feel happy
if Bobby ever wanted to come on in, we'd have him on.
Yeah, of course.
To all honesty, I don't think he ever would. Well, I just don't think so.
And I think that's probably more accurate. Like, him and Bobby were never that close to begin with. I mean, I know they've done each other's podcasts, and Bobby's had some classic moments on The Fighter and the Kid. But also, I mean, Brendan was hitting on Bobby's girlfriend. So I'd imagine these two probably weren't the closest behind the scenes. And Brendan, he was just kind of saying him and Bobby are best friends just to make it seem like nothing was going on. Like, also, Brendan said that he was much closer to Andrew Santino, who also cut him off after all the Bobby Lee drama, which it sounds like he took much harder.
But either way, they're fine. We're fine. They're killing it. Like, bad friends are killing it. I love Santino to death.
Yeah.
I was way closer with Santino. Me and him don't talk anymore. That bums me out. I was really close to Santino. Love Santino. Love him to death. Yeah. I was close to Santino. But again, I get it. This whole drama thing, that's your partner? That's like Brian.
Yeah, so they went over a lot during this podcast. Like, the whole second half of the episode, they're talking about pretty much everything that's happened. Like Brian getting canceled, the truck walk, Bobby Lee's situation, and the lawsuit. Like, this is probably the most they've talked about it on their podcast, but they probably wanted to explain why some of these comedians aren't on there anymore. And they're answering fan questions, and they said they're trying to just be honest about everything, which, you know, I'm sure they still were exaggerating and lying about some things, especially with the lawsuit, but I'm not going to really get into that. One thing Brendan was being honest about, though, is peeing in the sink. He finally came clean about that.
Keep your whistle.
And have I peed in the sink? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like a Hell's Angel.
Yep.
Can't stop, won't stop.
That's it. It's your sink.
But yeah, that's about it here. If you guys want more content from me, make sure you check out my Patreon account. If you want to hear about the time Tim Dillon humbled Whitney Cummings, or the degeneracy of Ari Shaffir, or the time Patton Oswalt apologized for taking a picture of Dave Chappelle, or just a ton of other stuff. There are over 80 videos on there. So if you're a fan of the channel, make sure you check it out. I'll put a link in the description.